Hey Guitar Geeks, Guitar Guts back with a follow-up video to my video on Les Paul tuner height. I had previously explained that I was having some problems with Grover locking tuners on my specific Epiphone Les Paul guitar. There wasn't anything wrong with the tuners themselves. They work just fine. They've got very smooth operation. They held tune real well. I didn't feel like the string ever slipped. And the locking mechanism on these things is fantastic. You feed the string through and tighten it down, and the locking mechanism automatically catches the string. And then when you take the strings back off, all you've got to do is loosen them enough, and the locking mechanism lets go. You don't have to worry about winding a bunch of string around the post or anything like that. They were great tuners. The only problem was these particular tuners in combination with this guitar were a little bit too tall. The shaft was sticking up above the headstock so much that it was allowing the strings to not have enough break angle over the nut, and it was causing some string buzz behind the nut. It was really hard to diagnose until I narrowed it down to the tuners, but that's what it was. And so, since the tuners were too high, I decided to try a set of original Grover Rotomatics, and that's what I've got here. This is the original set, just regular Grover Rotomatics, and again, they're absolutely great tuners. They've got smooth operation. They hold tune very well. And they were much shorter. You can see, holding these side by side, that the vintage Grover Rotomatics are quite a bit shorter than the locking tuners are. And that absolutely solved the problem of the string buzz behind the nuts. But it created another problem. These tuners were so short that it created a very drastic string angle coming down behind the nut toward the tuners. It was a very steep angle, and it increased the stiffness of the strings when I tried to play. It made them lose their slinkiness, like it can if you've got too much of a break angle over the bridge at the other end heading toward the tailpiece on a Les Paul. If that angle's too great and not shallow enough, it can create a pretty stiff playing Les Paul. And the same thing was happening to me behind the nut here. It was too drastic of an angle heading down toward the tuner pegs. And so this one was too short. So at that point I had one too tall and one too short. And so I tried to find the Goldilocks zone by going with the Grover Rotomatics more vintage version. Let me turn it over here and I'll show you what they look like. These are what's called the milk bottle tuners by Grover. And they are halfway in between the height of the locking tuners and the original Grover Rotomatics. They're a more traditional type of tuner, and the reason they're called milk bottle tuners, I think you can see here, this little shaft below the turnable peg here. There's a little shaft that heads down toward the gears, and if you look real closely at it, it looks like an old-fashioned milk bottle. So I installed those a few weeks ago and tried those out, and they are absolutely the Goldilocks zone that I was looking for. They're not too tall, they're not too short, they work just as good as either one of the other Grover Rotomatic tuners, but they've hit that perfect angle where I've got enough break coming over the nut where I'm not getting any string buzz, but the break angle's not too much so that I lose the slinkiness and playability of the Les Paul. And I know it probably is just my imagination, but I swear that I think they've improved the tone of the guitar as well as the playability. I'm loving my Les Paul again, and I'm really glad to have found the perfect tuners for it. Well, let us know if you've had other experiences or know something we don't. Leave a comment in the comment section and be sure to like our videos. We'll see you later.